Guys, your traditional boxer briefs are about to get the upgrade they need. Sheath has 2 individual compartments to keep everything down there separate, cool, and comfortable. Sheath has a modern ergonomic design intended to prevent skin-on-skin contact for long durations, which can build up heat and sweat. Sheath prevents all of that. It is the holy grail of underwear. Say goodbye to constant chafing and readjusting because everything is in a separate compartment. These underwear are designed to keep your boys cool and comfortable. Sheath has released some great new winter gear to keep you and the boys nice and cozy all winter long, like their dual pouch base layers and fitted bamboo hoodie. Sheath also has super fast shipping and your order will arrive in just a few days. Take a look at all the reviews on their website for official proof. So click the link below and use the code Chael at checkout. Or go to sheathunderwear.com/Chael. That's going to get you 20% off and the comfort you deserve. That's sheathunderwear.com/Chael. Or just click on the link below and use the code Chael for 20% off. Okay, here's how this has to be handled. At the conclusion of Islam and Charles, right? You got to have a strategy in both directions. So many guys don't. I will see guys in post-fight interviews where it never crossed their mind that they were going to lose. And I know some coach somewhere along the way told you, you have to be confident you're going to win. You have to expect to win. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever been confident to win? Has it? I mean, answer the question fairly. Did it always go your way? Did every girl that you asked to the ball say yes? Did every job that you applied for go your way? Were you in sporting events? Did you have more points than the other guys when time ran out? Did it go that way every single time? Confidence is a bunch of crap. I mean, I have to tell you that. I take incredible homage with the word confidence. I struggle also when coaches say motivation. These are buzzwords, and you can put those in chapters of books to sell on Amazon. They're not true, and they're not parts of life. And quite frankly, what fun would life be if you knew how it was going to go? If you just knew it was you just knew you were the guy, who would you strive to be like? It's a very weird thing. People do this with motivation. They tell athletes you got to have motivation. Motivation is wonderful. What a gift. The days that you're motivated to do something, what an incredible gift. But you can't control it. It will go away. Discipline is what you need. When you talk about mental toughness, guys, do you know what that means? That guy's mentally tough. Do you know what mental toughness means? Do you know why you need mental toughness? Why you want to instill it in your kids? And a lot of times we'll do it through sport. Do you know what we're trying? I mean, do you know what the bar is? Do you know what the pinnacle? What is it you're actually trying to get them to do? It's real simple. I'll put it to you like this. When you will do in a day whatever you need to do in a day, no matter how you feel. I can't tell you how many people have said this, and you've heard the same thing where people go, well, I didn't feel like it. Okay, fair enough. The world will accept that answer. We understand it, but you're not mentally tough. I'll use myself as an example. And maybe I had to go through sport to get it. Maybe I had to go fight 50 men to get it. I don't know, but I am grateful for my parents because somewhere it did get instilled. It does not make any difference how I feel in a day. I will do what I need to get done, whether I wake up motivated and excited to do it or not. Now, before I went down this diatribe of self-help, I'm trying to tell you at the conclusion of UFC 280, they're going to be interviewing Islam and they're going to be interviewing Charles. Both of those guys need to be prepared. Both of them. Including the guy that doesn't win. Now, the elephant in the room is the undefeated freshman that decided to walk down the senior hallway and thought he was going to be the big man on campus. You cannot, in any scenario, let a littler guy step to you in this business. You can't let anybody do it. You can't a guy from a weight class up or within your own division. Volk is coming in with the best seat in the house, and everybody knows he's bringing his balls there in a wheelbarrow. He deserves full credit. It's still their job to chop him off. And before Volk comes into a weight class of which he's never competed and steals the title shot, it is the job of Charles Oliveira, specifically should he pull the upset, to tell Volk you will be fighting. I'm going to give you what you want, but you're going to put something up too, which is your belt. We're going to fight, but we're going to fight at 145 pounds. This is a must. Now, I don't know that Charles can get to 145. I don't know the UFC would sign for 145. I don't know the UFC wants to leave 155 in limo, but they're going to have to do it with one of the divisions. If Volk goes up, the 45-pounders, and where's the morale? And are we going to interim this championship, or do we do it at 55, or do we just let him get on with it and nobody says anything? It'll be like Nunes did it, 35 and 45. I mean, right, that's somebody else's problem for another day, but you're not adding to that list. It's the same problem. It's the same thing that you've already agreed to figure out. And it is paramount that Oliveira make Volk agree to put his belt up at his weight class, whether it comes to fruition or not. And I don't despise that idea if the favorite wins. I don't hate that idea if Islam wins. Now, I don't know that Islam will do it. I don't know that Islam cares. I really appreciate that about Islam. I truly do. And I have to give him that kind of credit. Because when he had an opportunity to fight for a world championship and he lost it. Do you guys remember when that happened? Because I don't. It's a little bit vague in my mind. Islam was going to fight for a belt, but then they needed Islam on short notice. And Islam didn't do it. Was it to fight RDA? Is that right? It was to fight RDA. He was going to fill in and do that match, and he passed on it. So if you pass on a match, then you're openly declaring, I'm not sure if I can beat him. If you're not sure I can beat him, I can't put you in a spot which is called number one contender, which is an absolute belief that you can beat everybody else except for one guy. But he didn't care. I don't mean that he was nonchalant. He didn't care that he wasn't giving us what he wanted. He didn't care that wasn't being a team player. I meant that he didn't care. It wasn't about the belt. He didn't care who the opponent was. He'd take a harder opponent. It was something about the date, and he seemed very sincere, at least to me. So I don't know that he has a problem with Volk. Not to mention, imagine if you're in Islam's shoes. If what they say about Islam is true, he's the greatest ever. I mean, that's as far as they're going. He's the greatest currently, but they would also like you to believe that he's the greatest ever. What if that's true? Because there are guys floating around that are like that. You don't actually know who the best in the world is. You just know who the champion is. Without a competitive architecture in a straight line bracket, there's no way to know. But imagine that it's Islam. Think about it from that perspective. What if he really is the best? He should be recognized. So if he has an ability to become a world champion, and in his very next fight, he has the ability to fight another reigning world champion who's ranked number one pound for pound, right? I mean, it's a really interesting spot. And I could see where Islam would be saying, come on over. I would see where there's more rub and more shine that Islam could get. So I'm not saying that Islam needs to also tell Volkanovski, we'll do the fight, we'll do it for a belt, it's going to be yours. I don't know that he needs to. Islam appears to be in a little bit of an interesting place. And I see this happen in the sport all the time. Where people are saying he doesn't belong with Charles. He should not be in there. He hasn't had the right competition. He should not be in there. Now, there's nobody else in the division with a 16-1 record, but that doesn't matter. Because the guys that he fought are not ranked high enough. He should not be in a world title fight. He's a 3-1 favorite. Like those things, they don't go together. So Islam's not on anybody's pound for pound list. If he beats Charles, how high up does he go? If his next fight is against Volkanovski, of which a mythical odd came out on DraftKings, just in case that fight gets thrown together on 24 hours notice, it's a 3.5-1 favorite. He can't be not as good as Volk. No ranking on the pound for pound why Volk is ranked number one. He can't do those things and simultaneously be 3.5-1 in a favored position to win that very contest. Those don't add up. So what would happen to Islam? If Islam beats Charles, does he make the pound for pound list? Probably, yeah. How high is he? I don't know. Okay, let's say he draws into Volk, who you have at number one, and we all accept that. Volk should be number one. For sure. If Islam beats Volk, do we then put Islam at number one? Probably not. Probably not, because we'll lend towards favoritism, won't we? We'll lend towards popularity, which we're not supposed to do with that coveted list, but we probably would. So I just want to share this idea with you, right? I mean, these tactics are wildly important. The UFC used to, and at times will still favor, doing a face-off when you have that ability. When a guy like Volkanovski is in the front row, and Dana's already announced he's makes sense to fight the winner. A lot of times you would bring Volk in, but not every time. That's very picked. If the guy is proven to be effective on the stick, you hand him the stick. If the guy is proven to be a dud on the stick, that's the last way that you want to fade to black and roll the credits. So I don't know how that will go. But whether Volk gets in there and they go face-to-face or not, there's still the cameo, there's still the shot, that's still how we're going to go off the air. We're going to assume, and whatever the last thing the announcers say is going to stick with you. However they spin it and whatever they set up for you will be the very next conversation that you have in the living room with the folks that you watch the fight with. That's just the way that it works. And Charles Oliveira needs to show no fear. It hasn't been a wonderful thing for Charles to resist fighting Islam, even if it was because of the location and even if it was because of the judges. It wasn't wonderful. Now, Charles made it work. I don't fault Charles at all. This is the number one fight I'm looking forward to in all of 2022. 2022 is the unexpected MMA year of my life. If you would have told me last year what this would look like, it would have been dread and gloom. So I'm not faulting Charles at all. It's a really wonderful thing. I'm just sharing for you. He needs to make sure that he has the high-handed approach. And he needs to make sure to tell the guy, whether he's sitting in the front row or he's face-to-face in the octagon, we will do it. But I'm not putting everything up while you put nothing up. You're ranked number one. You're the world champion. You have the perfect record. We'll just do it at your weight class. That's perfectly reasonable. There would be no way to argue around that. Now, wherever that dialogue goes, that's tomorrow's problem. I'm sharing, if you're going to get the last word before they fade to black and roll the credits and we've got to wait another month till we have a pay-per-view, that's what the words need to be. I will fight you. I'm glad that you're here. Put your belt up and tell me when. Islam, a little bit of a different place. But it's interesting, and both guys need to be prepared. You got to have your acceptance speech and you got to have your concession speech. Otherwise, you're just not responsible.